Involving gases and chemicals. Personal protective equipment is defined as equipment intended for protection against health, damage and accidents. The aim is that the equipment should be comfortable to use and, if possible, not obstruct work. Also, its design must not cause new elements of risk. The equipment should be easy to put on and take off. And remember, any protective equipment shall be approved. Today, a safety helmet has become a necessary part of one's work equipment. The helmet is to protect against head injuries. Even small head injuries may be serious because they may easily cause brain damage. Routine use of a helmet, therefore, is a cheap insurance. A safety helmet is primarily used as protection against falling objects. In certain work situations, however, the head may be exposed to other hazards, such as strong heat, a blow from the side or crushing, spray of chemicals, etc. Obviously, since the hazards are so different, no single type of helmet is ideal protection for all work operations. Therefore, there are different types of safety helmets, depending on the primary requirements they are intended to satisfy. This helmet is to protect against falling objects. This one has stiffened sides and to some extent also protects the head against crushing. These helmets have the same qualities as A and B, but in addition they are to some extent resistant to heat. Safety helmets can be supplied with accessories for most work situations. Product catalogs give you a survey of which helmets meet your specific requirements. A lot of extra equipment is also available in the form of different hats with and without neck protection against the cold. Note, however, that this equipment may affect the way in which the helmet fits your head. Hearing protection is intended to protect the ears against damaging sound. It is the last defense that can prevent damaging noise from entering the ear. Removal or reduction of the noise is the best alternative. In practice, it often turns out to be difficult to reduce the noise. At such workplaces, hearing protection must be used. Especially two types of personal hearing protection are used: earplugs and air pads. Earplugs are placed in the outer air canal. It is important that the plugs are of the right size and that they are adjusted in the right way. If the plugging of the air canal is insufficient, all plugs lose their noise-reducing ability, especially in the low-frequency area. Air pads completely cover the outer ear. In general, one might say that air pads provide better and more effective protection than earplugs, but air pads too lose their noise-reducing ability if the padding is incomplete. No hearing protection suits everybody or all work situations. How long you stay in the noisy environment is also decisive. Air pads are available for surroundings with a low or medium noise level, long stays in surroundings with a high noise level, for surroundings with an extreme noise level. Solid combined air and face protection is also available. Contrary to what you might perhaps believe, tests and experience show that the use of air protection increases the user's ability to differ between sounds. Alarm signals and shouts of warning in the engine room, for example, are more easily perceived with air protection than without. You should therefore make sure that you are comfortable with the air protection and always use it in noisy surroundings. The sight is the most sensitive and perhaps the most important of our senses. Like all delicate instruments, the eyes are sensitive to extraordinary strain. Damage to the eyes primarily occurs as a result of infrared radiation from gas welding, ultraviolet radiation from electric welding, spray of chemicals and gases, splinters or other foreign bodies. On this basis, the following protection is generally required: colored glass against harmful radiation, safety glass against mechanical damage, and chemicals resistant glass for protection against spray of chemicals and gases. As for protection, it is the glasses of the spectacles that are most important. The purpose of the frame is mainly to carry the right type of glasses in a comfortable manner. The main requirement of glasses, which are to protect against chemicals and gases, however, is that the glasses shall be tight-fitting. In addition to protecting the eyes, a face screen will also protect the face, head and neck. A face screen is normally used in combination with a safety helmet and air pads. Today, several good combination possibilities are available, also with different welding screens instead of ordinary face screens. When acquiring eye protection, it is important to consider which hazards the different work operations on board might involve, and to what extent one may be exposed to such hazards. The degree of protection offered by the equipment and how comfortable it is to use is also significant. When you buy eye protection, consider the following: relevant hazards, types of equipment available, execution, materials and quality, that the equipment must be approved. Remember that eye protection is also available for persons wearing ordinary glasses. The right type of respiratory protection is absolutely necessary when work is to be carried out under conditions of irritating, hazardous or toxic dust, smoke or gases, and or in areas lacking oxygen. In no other area within safety does the use of wrong equipment involve such fatal consequences. The reason is that the choice of correct respiratory protection is complicated and must be made on the basis of thorough and correct knowledge of atmospheric measurement and of the equipment. In other words, the decision on what to buy must be made by a competent person. Many reports of these types of accidents conclude that the accident was caused by human error. This conclusion may well be correct, but very often it is not the deceased crew member who has failed. It must be the responsibility of the ship owner to ensure that the knowledge about respiratory protection on board is sufficient and that the crew are given correct guidance about this. In this program, we can only give you a general description of respiratory protection. The choice of equipment and its use must be made after a thorough introduction by means of directions for use and training. Inhalation of harmful dust or gases may cause poisoning of or permanent damage to, for example, lungs, kidneys, liver, or the nervous system. It's therefore important to know the composition of the hazardous substances in order to choose the correct respiratory protection. Remember also that polluted air at the workplace can be absorbed by the body, both through the respiratory system and the skin. The following general requirements apply to respiratory protection. The material of the respiratory protection must be resistant to normal strain during use and storage. The mask or the protective equipment must not irritate or discolor the skin and must be possible to clean and disinfect. Respiratory protection intended for use on ships must be very corrosion resistant and must not be easily flammable. The weight of the respiratory protection must be as low as possible. Satisfactory field of vision must be ensured. Where required, the equipment must be made of a heat insulating material. The respiratory protective equipment with accessories should have a practical storage cover. Again, we would like to point out that the consequences of carelessness in connection with the use of respiratory protection may be fatal. There are many examples of fatal accidents caused by people entering closed rooms and tanks without any form of protection and entering without checking the atmosphere. By using the right respiratory protection and metering instruments, you help preventing such accidents in the future. Many hand injuries, for example scratches, chemical burns, skin wear and eczema, could have been avoided if gloves had been used. The use of gloves also contribute to a better personal hygiene. The requirements of glove materials are almost as varied as are the work operations. In other words, no universal glove exists. The nature of the work to be carried out must always decide a choice of gloves. When buying gloves, exact information must be given on which chemicals and substances the gloves will be in contact with. The supplier must be able to guarantee his gloves by means of a carefully specified list of the chemicals to which the gloves are resistant. Here are some guidelines. Leather gloves are normally the best choice when dealing with rough mechanical objects, for example, wire. Heat insulating gloves are used when working with or close to hot or cold objects. PVC gloves are used for work with acids, alkalis, oils, solvents and other chemicals. Several skin injuries have occurred because of uncritical purchase of rubber and plastic gloves. The reason is that the chemicals gradually dissolve the gloves, resulting in hours of skin contact with the chemical. In other cases, the gloves become doughy and soft. The result is serious skin injuries and burns. How the gloves fit the hands is also important. Too small gloves give the user the feeling of lacking blood circulation in hands and fingers. He easily feels cold and the grip of the hand is reduced. Too big gloves may fall off and may also make it difficult to feel what one is working with. Damage to feet and legs not only occur because of the lack of protective footwear, but also because of the use of worn or unsuitable footwear. Protective equipment for feet and legs should give the necessary protection against injury caused by mechanical or chemical influence, against damage caused by fire, cold or dampness, and should reduce the risk of slipping. Today, protective footwear is a well-known concept. This means shoes and boots which, to a large extent, look like ordinary footwear, but which have a steel toe cap sewn into the shoe. The steel toe cap protects the toes and the foremost part of the foot, which are the most exposed parts. In situations involving a danger of dropped objects, only correct protective footwear can provide the required protection against serious bruises. Today, protective footwear is at least as hard-wearing as ordinary shoes and often just as elegant. Therefore, there is no reason not to use it. Nevertheless, we still see inappropriate, worn and torn footwear. Such footwear is in fact hazardous even under normal circumstances. In addition to the inevitable protective toe cap, one may now choose between the following qualities: oil and acid resistant, anti-static properties, heat resistant up to, for example, 110 to 200 degrees centigrade, lined for use in the winter season, skid-proof soles, double soles with air cushions giving good shock-absorbing qualities. Many types of protective footwear have several of these qualities. Also available are orthopedic soles which counteract and prevent back and leg problems. In short, suitable footwear to protect the skin. A gas protection suit covers the entire body and forms a tight barrier against the existing atmosphere. The material of the suit must be resistant to the gases and chemicals concerned. The heating load involved in the use of such suits is big. A former survey showed that at 20 degrees centigrade, the period of use is less than 2 hours with moderate physical activity. The period of use can be increased by ventilating the suit by means of a compressed air apparatus. The overpressure in today's suits prevents, for example, wet gas from penetrating through, for example, pinhead holes. The overpressure is automatically adjusted. Important requirements of the gas protection suits are: the suit must be cut in one piece. The suit must be soft and comfortable and easy to wear during work. The suit must have a gas-tight zipper that should preferably run from the left shoulder to the right thigh. This allows for fast dressing and undressing. The rubber boots must be welded onto the suit. The rubber boots must have steel toe caps. The mask must have an easily adjustable panorama window. The gas protection suit is designed to provide the best possible protection against as many skin-penetrating gases and chemicals as possible. It is therefore a very good all-round suit, that is, a suit which protects against both gases and chemicals. The manufacturer's brochures provide an overview of the individual suits and their uses, extra equipment, and requirements for special storage procedures. When you put on a suit, start with the boots, then the sleeves, put on the hood, adjust the face opening, and close the zipper. Pull the support ring down over the cuff, put on the gloves, and pull up the cuff rings. Then you put on the compressed air apparatus and connect the suit's ventilation to it. Pure chemical suits are not gas-proof, but there are a number of excellent suits on the market for handling chemicals when no requirement exists to resistance to gas. Such suits are comfortable and give the users great freedom of movement. Remember that for both types of suits, the choice of gloves must be based on requirements of resistance to gases and chemicals. Finally, we would like to point out the requirements of applicable regulations as concerns the ship's safety equipment and personal protective equipment. The requirements are given in the regulations of 15th of June 1987, number 507, on safety precautions, etc. on passenger ships, tankers and barges. For example, a sufficient number of the following equipment shall be available on board: safety belts and safety harnesses, safety hats, tight-fitting glasses, face screens, hearing protection, coveralls, oilskins, gloves with long cuffs, work vests and life jackets, protective footwear, compressed air apparatuses and filter masks. The regulations also state how to issue individual instructions for use of safety equipment and personal protective equipment, and that it must be ensured that the directions of use for such equipment are followed. Personal protective equipment acquired shall be CE marked to document that the equipment satisfies the common European provisions. Equipment acquired outside the EEA area that does not have this mark must have a quality that corresponds to that of the CE marked equipment. The Council for Labour Supervision on Norwegian ships was established by Royal Decree of the 12th of September 1975 and today consists of 9 representatives with deputies appointed for 3 years at a time. The Council is made up of representatives of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Norwegian Shipowners Association, the Norwegian Shipping and Offshore Federation, the Norwegian Shipowners Association for Coasters, the Norwegian Shipmasters Association, the Norwegian Union of Marine Engineers, the Norwegian Mates Association, the Norwegian Seamen's Union, the Norwegian Fishermen's Association, and the Association of Norwegian Fishing Vessel Owners, the Norwegian Trawler Owners Association. The Secretariat is in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and is managed by a secretary appointed by the Ministry. The Council is to help to coordinate the work of authorities and organizations on matters relating to the prevention of occupational injuries among the crew members of Norwegian vessels abroad and in inland waters. The Council submits statements to the authorities on questions within its terms of reference. The Council discusses questions raised by the authorities or organizations. Matters can also be submitted to the Council by other institutions and organizations and by individuals.